Hello, the top stories today. Nigerian students studying abroad under the bilateral education agreement have decried the non-payment of their allowances by the federal government. World leaders, dignitaries, and thousands of mourners gathered to pay their last respects to Pope Francis, who was laid to rest on Saturday. And in sports, Nigeria Premier Football League leaders Remo Stars will face relegation, threatened Niger Tornadoes in Ikenne today as they hope to grab the needed 3 points to seal their first ever MPFL title win. Today is Sunday. A lovely day to you. A beautiful welcome to you here on Sapientia World News at noon with me, Chinonso Ekoma. And now the news in full. Nigerian students studying abroad under the bilateral education agreement have decried the non-payment of their allowances by the federal government. They called on the Minister of Education, Dr. Yusuf Tunji Alausa, to urgently review the government's stance on the payment of their stipends. The students who spoke under the auspices of the Union of Nigerian Bilateral Education Agreement scholars said the government owed each of them $6,720 for their years 2023, for the years 2023 and 2024, in addition to unpaid stipends from January to April 2025. In a statement released on their official X account, formerly known as Twitter handle, the students accused the Ministry of Education of issuing misleading information about their welfare. They rejected claims that all the previous payment had been settled and their needs were being fully met by host countries. However, in a statement issued by the Director of Press and Public Relations of the Ministry of Education, Boriowo Folashade, the government assured all stakeholders that it remains steadfast in fulfilling its responsibilities to the scholars benefiting from the BEA program. The monthly statutory allocations to state government from the Federation accounts may decline in the coming months following an official request by the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority to boost the nation's residual funds with the support of 100 billion naira monthly. The request, which was presented by the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of NSIA, Aminu Omar Sadiq, is aimed at unlocking large-scale investment to drive Nigeria's economic growth. He made the request at the March Revenue Sharing meeting of the Federation Account Allocation Committee held between April 14th and 15th, 2025. Omar Sadiq appealed to the committee, which includes the State Commissioners of Finance, to consider and approve the request, with funding proposed to commence from the March FAAC allocation. Moving on, no fewer than 40 persons have been arrested and are facing prosecution for impersonating candidates during the ongoing 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board has disclosed this. This is as many parents and guardians are lamenting that the 6:30 a.m. resumption time for the exam was too early for candidates, adding that many may have to travel several kilometers to the examination centers. The 2025 UTME, which commenced on Thursday, April 24th, will run until Monday, May 5th, according to JAMB. Over 2,000 candidates are sitting for this year's examinations across accredited computer-based test centers nationwide. In related development, the House of Representatives Committee on Basic Examination Bodies has assured the Joint Admissions and Matriculations Board of its readiness to assist in addressing the challenges militating against the conduct of the Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination across the country. The chairman of the committee, Oboku Ofoji made the promise during an oversight exercise to monitor the ongoing UTME in some centers within the Federal Capital Territory on Friday. A statement issued by the media unit of the committee on Saturday quoted Ofoji as describing UTME as a vehicle used by young Nigerians in their journey to self-discovery. Then moving on, following the completion of the emergency runway repairs, the federal government has announced that the Akanu Ibiam International Airport in Enugu State will reopen for flight operations on Monday, 28th April 2025. Director, Public Affairs and Consumer Protection, the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, FAAN, Mrs. Obiageli Ora, disclosed this in a statement on Saturday. FAAN had announced that due to a sudden and significant rupture in the asphalt surface at a critical section of the runway would be shut down for emergency repairs. Police in Anambra State have taken over the scene of an attack by armed hoodlums on the office of the vigilantes at MSC Agwata local government area in the late hours of Friday, 25th day of April 2025. Police Public Relations Officer in the state, SP Tochukwu Kenga, in a statement he issued, explained that the takeover followed the attack by armed hoodlums on the facility, where unfortunately 4 patrol vehicles and 2 motorcycles were burnt as a result of the gun duel by security operatives resisting the armed hoodlums from gaining entrance. No life was lost during the incident, and calm was returned to the area as men of the Joint Security Force have intensified offensive operations in the area, the statement noted. Nigeria is among the countries affected by the global rise in cholera infections, says the World Health Organization. The latest data on cholera obtained from the WHO shows that from January to March 2025, Nigeria recorded 1,227 cases and 28 deaths, placing it among the most affected countries in the African region. Reports the African region has recorded a total of 66,689 cholera cases and 1,336 deaths across 17 countries, making it the hardest hit region globally. In the same period, more than 116,000 cases and over 1,500 deaths have been reported worldwide, with Nigeria's outbreak contributing significantly to the continental and global burden. In March alone, 32,985 new cases and 517 deaths were reported globally, a slight decrease from February. While the drop may reflect seasonal trends, WHO cautions that underreporting, particularly in conflict-affected regions like the Democratic Republic of the Congo, likely means the actual numbers are higher. Moving on, world leaders, dignitaries, and thousands of mourners gathered to pay their last respects to Pope Francis, who was laid to rest on Saturday. The burial ceremony held at St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican City drew an extraordinary assembly of global figures, including heads of state, royalty, and religious leaders. Leading the world leaders are the Presidents of the United States of America, France, Finland, Switzerland, and Donald Trump, Emmanuel Macron, Alexander Stubb, and Karin Keller-Sutter, respectively. Others are the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and his wife Olena, Irish President Michael D. Higgins, Deputy Speaker of the Ugandan Parliament Thomas Tayabwa, and Nigerian Senate President Godswill Akpabio. Other sovereigns, heads of state, and heads of government were then seated in alphabetical order of their countries' names in the French language, used because French is considered the language of diplomacy. About 250 cardinals, patriarchs, archbishops, bishops, and priests, as well as consecrated religious and lay people, joined Cardinal Giovanni Battista Re, Dean of the College of Cardinals, as he delivered the liturgy. And on the foreign scene, the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement has expelled 902 Nigerians since the start of fiscal year 2019, according to data from the agency's 2024 annual report. This is as 3,690 more remain in limbo, with removal orders hanging over them. Although removals fell from 286 Nigerians in 2019 to 138 in 2024, reflecting a 51.7% decline over 6 years, ICE's country-by-country deportation ledger showed Nigerians' removal spiked during Donald Trump's first 2 full years in office, 2018 and 2019, amid a spike in 2025 under renewed crackdown. Across Africa, Nigeria still accounts for the largest share of U.S. deportations. Now, in sports, of course, in football, Nigeria Premier Football League leaders Remo Stars will face relegation threatened Niger Tornadoes in Ikenne on Sunday, that is today, as they hope to grab the needed 3 points to seal their first ever NPFL title win. Remo Stars head into the match, the 35 encounter, with a boost on their title charge after second place team Rivers United stumbled in their chase on Friday, losing 2-0 against Kano Pillars to leave 7 points between them and the leaders. The Sky Blue Stars are now just a win within reach of the title that has eluded them in the last 2 seasons, but they also realize that the job won't be done until it's fun. Ahead of the title decider, journalists asked Remo Stars coach Daniel Ogumodede if he could feel the title in sight, but the gaffer insists there is still a little more to be done, stressing there is no pressure. And that is it on the news. A quick reminder of our top stories. Nigerian students studying abroad under the bilateral education agreement have decried the non-payment of the allowances by the federal government, and world leaders, dignitaries and thousands of mourners gathered to pay their last respects to Pope Francis, who was laid to rest on Saturday. And Nigeria Premier Football League leaders Remo Stars will face relegation threatened Niger Tornadoes in Ikenne today, as they hope to grab the needed 3 points to seal their first ever NPFL title. My name is Chinonso Ahexri Ekoma. Do have your beautiful day. And on behalf of the editorial production crew, stay on Sapiencia TV, Sapiencia International Media Center, as we bring you lots of beautiful programs. Be security conscious and be at alert. Do have a smashing and productive weekend ahead of you.